Howdy folks, welcome back. If you happen to be new, don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Also, excuse my voice, I got some congestions going on. Winter flu. Quick story time here. One of my customers that I've had over the last couple years, super cool guy. I've fixed some bikes for him. I've bought some bikes from him. He's bought some stuff off of me. That's actually how we met. He bought something from me on eBay, and when I went to ship it, I noticed that he was only a few miles away, so I hit him up because it was kind of a big item. And I was like, hey man, if you want to drive over and get this thing, it'll save you 40 bucks. And he was like, no way, I didn't realize you were there. That was years ago. So about a year ago, he hit me up and he's like, hey, I got this bike. I want you to get it running. It doesn't have any spark. Brings it over. I look at the bike and I'm like, hey, how far do you want me to go into this thing? Because, you know, vintage motorcycles, you can get wrapped up in them financially pretty quick. He's like, I just want to ride the thing one time. I don't really want to put very much money at all into it. I was like, well, okay. So basically, I worked on it. I got the thing running. I charged him for probably a quarter of the time I actually had into it because that's how old bike stuff goes. But he's a good customer, like I said, and I kind of fell in love with this bike. I've always wanted one. So when he picked it up, and I was like, dude, when you're done with this thing and you're ready to sell it, let me know. Just give me first shot. I'll pay you good money for it. It has great potential, but it needs a lot of work. And he was like, all right. So that was almost a year ago. Hadn't really talked to him since. And out of the blue, he hits me up about this little Yamaha. Basically, his neighbor got it, whatever. He had questions on it. While we're going back and forth, he says his neighbor doesn't want to put any money into this bike and just wants it out of his yard type of deal. And I could have it for free if I wanted it. And I was like, absolutely, I could not say no to free. I will come scoop it up. And he's like, you know what? How about I just come visit you and I'll bring the Elsinore. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, you know, I haven't done anything with it. He's like, I just don't want to put any money into it. I don't have the time to mess with it. It was a thing. I only wanted to ride it once and I'm over it. And I want to give it to you. And I was like, no way. Yeah, he's like, I want it to go to somebody who's going to appreciate it and put the time into it and get it going again. And I was like, absolutely. And like before, when I worked on it and all that, I told him, I was like, listen, I want to buy this for myself. And that's exactly what I'm doing with it. It is 100% a keeper bike. It's a 74 Elsinore. It's like, you know, a 69 Camaro or whatever. It's never going to go out of style. It's always going to be cool and it's always going to be something I want. So now that I got one, I might as well just keep it. And especially because it was free. I've gotten a handful of free motorcycles over the years, and this one is definitely one of the coolest. I'm kind of still in shock. So, of course, as soon as I get it, I get the flu, and I've kind of been stuck in bed for the last week. And yeah, after the Sportster build, which is my main focus, after that, we'll probably play with the Elsinore a little bit. I'm not going to restore it. I just want to do mechanical stuff on it because it is a perfect vintage race bike. There's a place not far from where I live called Hollister Hills. They have a vintage motocross track, and how much fun would it be to take that down to Hollister, huh? And speaking of vintage racing, I think that somebody raced this bike at some point because we got safety wire on stuff. Also, this isn't stock. This bike didn't come with a reed setup like that. It also has Fox shocks, which is cool because Fox is located in Scotts Valley, and that's where the dude who I got the bike lives, and it's not far from my house. Pretty neat. I need to look up the number. If my memory is correct, this is Southern California, but I don't know. I need to look it up. I haven't done that yet, but what a sweet machine. So like I said, I'm fighting the flu. I think I'm over the worst part, but haven't had time to play with it, but I could not wait to show you guys my Elsinore. I haven't been this excited about a bike in a hot minute. And yeah, like I said, she's going to be a keeper. So this thing is going to be around. We'll do all kinds of fun stuff to it. I am a Vintco dealer, so I'm sure we'll get some sweet parts from Vintco. They make everything, like as far as crank, piston, all that stuff. So the possibilities are endless with the Elsinore. Endless. And I get to live out my Steve McQueen dreams. Speaking of Steve McQueen, I just had to bring it up. He actually did an ad for this motorcycle in like 1971. These bikes came out in 73, but they were in Japan earlier. And I'll put a link in the description to the commercial that Steve McQueen did for this bike. It is just, you know, king of cool, man. Doesn't get much cooler than that. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will be back on the Sportster build just as soon as I'm feeling 100%. So hopefully in a couple days. If you happen to be new, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.